of called the Healing Connection, and decided to just have an event to have uh, some speakers to bring some inspiration and empowerment to give everyone a lift. You might be going through some unbearable hardships in your life right now, or you're feeling that's like end of the rope in your life. So just something that we do virtually to be able to give you that real life stories, to know that you're not alone, and there's always hope in life. And our first speaker is Farzia. So Farzia is someone that I knew from a long time ago, and she has an amazing, amazing life story. First of all, she is a award-winning community builder, and she is very high tech. She has her own e-commerce business, and she's a real entrepreneur. And she's currently working as a senior manager of cybersecurity experience at TD Bank. So her professional career began at BMO after she got selected as one of the top 30 female students to advise the CEO on future of work. Since then, she has quickly progressed through the corporate ladder with numerous achievements under the belt. And as a strong advocate for women in STEM and the fast rising speaker, and she has been the founder of a few different non-profit organizations as well, and the e-commerce. And so without further ado, I'm going to give the mic to Farzia.
Thank you so much, Angela, for that wonderful introduction, and hi to everyone. I think first of all, I really want to thank you, Angela, for providing this platform where all women can get together, learn from each other's stories, and I feel like there's true power in sharing stories. A lot of time we want to just keep our stories to ourselves, and I used to be that way as well, not really sharing my story. But I think the more you open up, you realize that your story is not just for yourself; it's for other people, and to find those connecting points, and to inspire other people as well. So the story that I'm going to share today, when Angela came to me and said, Farzia, tell about a time when you had some challenging situation and how did you overcome that. And that always takes me back to many years ago when I was in high school. So this was prior to my family moved to Canada. My family always wanted to move to Australia, and we were working towards that. But for some time, there was a major, I would say, a lot of instability that we were going through. We were traveling. My grandparents were sick. We were not, I would say, stable in one place because of both financial reasons and some other, reasons where we were not really settled. And because of that, I kind of missed the enrollment date for my high school, and I was unable to attend a traditional high school. And I saw all my friends and cousins attending that. And I would ask my parents, when would I attend? And they're like, we're working things out and the time would come. But because things were not moving fast enough, the time was just passing by, and I just couldn't. And one day I just realized that, my years are getting wasted, until, we find our footing. Why don't I just teach myself everything from Google? Because if I really want to learn, then everything is available online. And so I started teaching myself entire high school, grade 9, 10, 11, 12, right from Google. And then I realized that, I really want to get into university. And in order for me to do that, I need some sort of transcript. I can't just go to a university and be like, hey, I taught myself, so just take me. And so for that, I just for grade 12, I found that, there was an American online accredited school that would give me a high school diploma. And so I kind of convinced them that, I homeschooled myself for, 9, 10, 11. Can you please give me an admission for 12 and give me some sort of a transcript? And so they admitted me, and they were taking international student fees because I'm not American. And I literally took minimum number of credits to graduate from 12, because you have to pay in US dollars, and that was a lot of money. And so my parents were also helping, but then I also started working part-time to pay off that. And eventually I did have a high school diploma. But then when we moved to Canada, a lot of people were very much surprised when they would ask me, well, what high school did you go to? And I would be like, oh, I taught myself. But initially I would completely try to avoid the topic. When they would ask me about my high school, or what did I wear for prom, I would just try to completely change the topic. But then until one day, I organized the first hackathon for all women in Canada, which became a big deal. I was featured on the newspaper and stuff. And our first keynote speaker was from Microsoft. And she kind of kept asking me, what high school did you go to and stuff like that. And I shared my story with her. I said, actually, I didn't go. I had to teach myself. I know it's not cool. And she said, it's not cool. It's amazing. I'm like, wait, really? She's like, yeah, because, not a lot of people have that discipline to be able to teach themselves high school and, just like, using online resources. So she said, what you have done is amazing. And she was like, before I go on stage, I want you to go and tell your story. And I'm like, no, I would never do that. I wouldn't share this. I don't think it's cool. And she was like, she really kind of encouraged me to do that. And there were all girls in the audience. And I told them, I said, the reason I joined technology is because of this reason. I saw the power in technology. I felt that, today with the internet, we all can be connected so easily. We can learn anything we want. And I'm like, this is the future. And that's what made me get into, computer science and get into a tech field ultimately. And in a hackathon, I think many of you may or may not know about it, but it's basically very common in the tech world where people get together, they form different teams, and they work to either create an app or some sort of like, solve a problem using technical skills. And so when I was telling the girls, I told them that, see, someone decided to create an online school. Somebody even decided to put these things online. And because of that, I am where I am. And so we all have the power to create, some sort of like either it's a company or, whatever that thing that we do related to our passion, that it may make a huge impact on someone else's life. And so I would say, because a few years being wasted and my high school experience, I always used to feel bad. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like a few years behind, some of my, I would say, peers. And I would feel bad when I started university. Then I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 2 or 3 years older than the rest. And then I would say it's funny how life really works, that when I joined university, within 4 years, I worked really hard and finished my 4-year degree in 3 years. And by my second year, I was offered like a full-time position, by the VP of a bank, of a financial institution, working directly for her. And so, from being like, I would say, just feeling that I'm only a few years older than my peers, to then I ended up being the youngest in my team. And all my peers at that time were like at least 20 to 25 years older than me. So it's funny how life switches around when you don't give up and you try to find something, a solution for yourself, even in, I would say, a difficult situation. So that time when I felt I was at a disadvantage, but today when I look back, I feel like it was such a huge blessing in disguise, because that time taught me about self-discipline. And it taught me that, no matter what situation I'm put in, I'm going to find some way to get out of it, some way to find a solution. And I think that motivation and drive that I got during that time, had I not gone through that experience, I probably would have taken my education for granted. I probably would have taken a lot of opportunities that came my way for granted. And I think for me, that's like one of my mottos as well, that I'm not just looking for opportunities. If I can't find an opportunity, I'm just going to create my own. So I think I'll probably end with this saying that, sometimes an opportunity is not always going to knock on your door. And if you can't find that, just go and find, your own opportunity, make your own opportunity, and just not give up, because no matter how long that period of, I would say, whatever distress or stressful situation is, it won't last. And you'll always come out of it stronger on the other side. So thank you for listening to my story.
Wow, thank you so
Wonderful
much,
story.
Farzia.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
As Farzia shared, she has been always so resourceful. And if one door is closed, she look for another door. If all doors are closed, she look for the window. And it's so inspiring. Like for so many high school students now, might like what you mentioned, take the education for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And your story can definitely inspire lots of teenagers and people who feel less fortunate and not at disadvantage of loss of opportunities. And you make things happen for your own success. It's all happened because of your determination. And thank you so much, Farzia. So at this time, I like to mention that because of this organization has lots of great, amazing people help. That's where we can achieve that, what we can achieve now. So I like to thank Azra, and I'm going to put her at a spotlight. So she's one of our just the practitioners, partnered practitioners who helped effortlessly with her time and her determination, help us with the website, help us with the new logo. And because of her creativity and her inspiration that want to help people to heal, and we are able to if you like the website now, what's there on the website, then lots of credit go to Azra and Adam. And also I like to thank Fevin. Fevin is our connection coordinator. The event flyer was made by her, and so many great people have been helping the nonprofit organization with so many great work. So I like to just give some credits to them. And now it goes to the our speaker, Karen. So I'm going to just uh, stop the spotlight. I, did I do it right? I hope I stopped the spotlight for you. But I'm going to put the spotlight for Karen. So Karen, actually, I've met Karen when our kids were playing as like they just like elementary school kids. And she is
Yeah.
one of the strongest women I know. And for the past 3 years we kind of lost contact, but I'm so grateful that we connected again. And I'm going to just give the mic to Karen. Thank you, Karen.
Well, Angela, thank you. Thank you so much. And good afternoon to everyone. Angela, thank you and the organizers of Healing Connection for inviting me to speak today. And I'm so grateful to be counted among so many amazing, accomplished women. And I'm humbled and inspired by stories such as Farzia's, and you guys providing supportive events like this to our community in celebration of Women's Day. So, um, I've been very fortunate. I've had incredible role models. My parents, my Aunt Valerie was a phenomenal community activist, and she was a teacher, just like my father. And they were very patient and positive. And I think it was born into them, it was in their DNA to always be unconditionally supportive. And their motto was, there's nothing you can't do if you set your mind to it. And I've always carried that with me. And I believe that um, what we do in life, what our goals are, is the journey as well too. So shooting for for the moon, and maybe you'll land amongst the stars, is to me, as long as you aim high, you'll accomplish what you set out to. All right. Sometimes it takes a little bit of tweaking, and we all have our obstacles and disappointments. But I think as long as we continue trying, that we will succeed, in our own way. Um, I was born in a small town of Brockville, Ontario, just about 3 hours east of Toronto. My parents immigrated from China here in the 60s. And, like most immigrants, my mom was a nurse and my dad was a teacher, and they weren't able to get work in their original respective fields. They didn't have the credentials, and their English wasn't all that fluid. So it was tough. And I saw what they did to make ends meet. They ended up being waiters, they worked in the post office. Later, dad became a realtor, and we were able to build our lives out from, starting out with public housing and really building up my dad his own business and finding success in his own terms. So I followed in my dad's footsteps, finishing school in the late 80s. The 90s was kind of rough with the recession, and no one was hiring at the time. So I kept with it in real estate, and we're trying to find ways to do better. And one of them was, I thought, hey, maybe I can work for the builders, because there weren't a lot of Chinese speaking real estate staff. And there's a lot of buyers that, were from Hong Kong or China. And I figured, okay, there might be a role for me in this. And I wanted it so badly that one of the first opportunities was a project working for Li Ka-shing's son, Richard Lee. And I wanted that job so badly that I showed up working downtown. I lived in Scarborough at the time and worked for free, literally for 3 months, practically begging and pleading for this job until they finally gave it to me. And that was the start of it. Was willing to work hard and also learn the business, evolving, and how after that I went from builder to builder. I found a lot of small boutique builders, and we're fortunate because a lot of these small boutique builders who wanted to make a difference in the type of product that they were selling hired some of the top designers, top architects, marketing companies for them. And so being in a small company, I got to be all involved in a lot of it, being able to see their thought process, how they did their designs to try and figure out what was right for the marketplace and what was sellable. And to the point where, I really loved it. And I would be going out there with my hard hat and boots out on the construction site, high rise buildings, this little girl trying to, learn everything that I could. And over the years, I went to work for Italian builders where I started working in freehold. And they allowed me to play with their designs because clients wanted prayer rooms or they needed a better play place for their family. So I got to work with their designs, and later on did allow me to play with doing their model homes where I really got to cut my teeth, fortunately at somebody else's expense because they were footing the bill, and found out I got pretty good at it. We were able to win a few awards, during this time. But again, I didn't charge a lot because I was learning. And if I made a mistake, they go, oh, well. Um, but we got married, stayed home for about 7 years, have two wonderful kids, as Angela mentioned, and, they're fabulous. And if anything, they've been a huge blessing in my life. Um, but the marriage unfortunately didn't work out. And 7 years of being at home, I was now the sole guardian of my two kids and trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And such young kids, my kids were about 3 and 5, how I was going to make money and have a career because doing real estate again wasn't going to happen. So I went knocking on the door of my previous builders and said, hey, let me do some colors for your clients that buy. And, at least I can, work, shorter hours so that I could be home and be able to pick up the kids. And so that started the ball rolling. And later on, a few years later, um, we ended up with previous clients that came to me and go, Karen, I would really love for you to help me renovate my home. I would love to build something. Can you help me out with this? And and part of learning this business and how I was able to find success was to truly understand what the client's needs were, what they wanted. And so, being a real estate agent, I was able to help them find property that suited their needs, and then come up with designs with later on my partners that we brought on, and continue to build on that success, and also my connections in the industry, being able to not only purchase material at more reasonable prices, but actually to come up and actually develop products for our clients who wanted modern homes, the big windows and doors as opposed to the vinyl windows. We came up with really textured concrete panels. So this was one thing that I really love and found success in, with that love that we were able to really come to fruition. So now we have our company Fine Homes. We've done a number of renovations in Riverdale to 10,000 square foot mansions in Markham, and we've got a few more coming in the city. and developing products like huge panoramic aluminum windows and doors uh, for our market here in Canada. So I really want to tell people that, you know what, we may start from humble beginnings, and we may have to fight and really make our own careers. That don't be afraid, that it is all possible. You just have to set your mind to it.
Wow, thank you so much, Karen. So if you're listening to Karen's story, you might not as talent as she is in terms of building and architecting or designing, but you have your own talent. So hope this story help you to lean toward your own gifts and feel into your own magic, like how Karen find her own talent. Thank you so much, Karen. And I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Sabrina. Sabrina, we have been knowing each other since York University, and she has been always so smart and beautiful. And apparently, I didn't know until like 2 years ago, she had this successful charity called the Inspire Hope Foundation. And I'm going to give the mic to Sabrina. Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you, Angela. I guess I'd like to start by echoing the appreciation that the first two ladies have already said, and that I really appreciate the opportunity to be counted among these amazing women of such diverse and rich cultural backgrounds and identities to share our lived experiences and to inspire and empower others. Like Angela said, my name is Sabrina, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Inspire Hope Foundation. It's a registered children's charity that's headquartered here in Durham region while operating globally with a mandate of poverty relief. Since its inception 17 years ago, our foundation has been committed to dismantling deeply entrenched barriers to success and well-being of children and families by providing equal access to essential resources and opportunities, regardless of social or systemic inequalities like poverty, racism, bias, etc. Internationally, we build clean water wells, schools, innovation libraries, medical clinics, all in an effort to curb the death before 5 rate and to inspire kids to learn and grow. We also provide alternative income programs for mothers trying to escape the harsh realities of poverty, independent of male dominance. Here at home, we hand out warm clothes and food in the winter, and we host summer camp in the summer, and provide an after-school enrichment and academic help program, both in English and in French. We have a mentorship program and a scholarship program. And most recently, we added our brand new mental health program to help inspire our community, regardless of your socioeconomic standing, to reach beyond your circumstances for what's waiting for you out there. Today, my life isn't anything that I ever thought it could be. I've earned 3 university degrees at the top of my class, including a master's degree from the University of Toronto. I've worked my way up through every level of government. I currently conduct mental health assessments and provide clinical intervention to violent federal offenders with complex and comorbid mental health diagnoses for the Government of Canada. I live in a nice house and I have 2 cars, 2 beautiful children, and I have a very happy life, doing something incredibly rewarding that I truly love. But if you'd asked me if I saw myself here even 10 years ago, I would have laughed and thought you were crazy. I was born to 2 immigrant parents, my mother from Jamaica and my father from Guyana. My father was a very violent alcoholic who eventually abandoned our family when I came home from school at 11 years old and found a note that simply said, "I can't handle this anymore." As a primary breadwinner, his decision that day brought peace to our home, but also introduced me to abject poverty through the lens of a child. More than anything, I remember the fear and the shame that I felt. I was afraid for my very strong and proud mother, who was suddenly a single mom of two on minimum wage in the middle of a recession. And I was ashamed because what was happening in my house didn't seem to be happening anywhere else. Everyone looked so happy. They seemed to have everything they wanted and talked about everything they were going to do. Poverty, particularly urban poverty, is not just the lack of income. It's considered degrading. Look at the images that we see in the media of people forced into disreputable circumstances or behavior for just basic sustenance. We feel an inability to fulfill personal goals, so we often don't have any because it's just easier that way. I remember saying to my mom at a super young age, "Don't worry, I'm not going to university." But thankfully, my mom wasn't having any of that. I was going to go to university whether I liked it or not. I got my first job at 12 years old, worked 2 jobs through high school and most of university. I used my OSAP to buy and sell property. And by my early 20s, I decided I wanted to help other kids just like me. So I started the foundation in hopes that others would want to help too. In the last year, the world has come to an almost complete stop because of COVID-19. We have also been forced to face the putrid reality of racial injustice and inequality. It can be frustrating to notice your neighbors, friends, even family members seeing things for the first time when you feel like it's been there since the beginning of time. But the truth is, it is incumbent upon all of us to build safe and equitable communities for all of our children to grow and be safe. Over the years, I have been so inspired by hardworking, innovative people who have stepped up to stand by fellow human beings who have been muted in positions of marginalized and disadvantaged by bias and oppressive social constructs. That's why we believe that inspiration is the catalyst to change. Change in our global and local community, but change in your life as well. So I hope today you've been inspired to stand up for one another, but be inspired to stand up for yourself too, because you're worth it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Sabrina. You are just another living example for someone who's strong and stands forever behind truth and justice. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for your inspiration and for your example. And I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who's Emily. I met Emily, a few years ago when my kids were doing acting jobs, and just her kindness and her entrepreneurship inspired me so much. And Emily is not only an executive producer for one of the films, and also she's a territory manager and actor model. So I'm going to change the spotlight onto Emily. Thank you, Emily.
Hi, Angela. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for inviting me, and hi to everyone. I'm so excited to be part of this group to share some of my stories to inspire and motivate people, and at the same time uplift other people. So as some other, I know Angela knows that I'm also like an immigrant that came here in 2004. And it's a different experience for me because of the great opportunity that I thought that time that Canada would give me. I came here by myself. I don't have any family or any relatives here in Canada. So when I came here, um, first thing that I have to adapt is, is especially the weather, because I came from a tropical country, which is from the Philippines, and we only have like two seasons there, which is the hot and the rainy season. And like adapting, of course, the weather here in Canada, it's also it's very challenging for me. Not only the weather, but of course um, the people, coming from a third world country and adapting to the culture. It's very challenging. I started to do one full-time job, two part-time job that time, and at the same time um, doing a continuing education. So I took some continuing education at University of Toronto, even though like I finished nursing and a registered nurse back home. But when I came here, they changed the system that I have to go back to school for 2 years. And I really don't mind going back to school for 2 years if I really would like to be a nurse that time. When I was back home, all of my experience was in sales. I was like a medical representative from Pfizer that time. And when I came here, I cannot get into the pharmaceutical industry. It's because of there's a lot of like downsizing going on. And during the that time, the pharmaceutical is like shrinking. So what I did is I took the continuing education, and my first job here was working at Dr. Bernstein and Health and Diet Clinic. But because I said that that's not, of course, that's just like a stepping stone in order for me to get what I really would like to work on. And because of like my persistence of like doing or continuing my education, I got the job that I really would like after a year. After that, I got like I worked as as a sales representative in an eyewear company, and I worked there for quite some time. Because of my experience as an immigrant, last 2016, I thought of doing something that I couldn't imagine that I would be able to do. And that was producing an indie film. And I'm very, very proud of this film. It's because it's the first Filipino Canadian that was produced here in Canada and won international awards. But I can also like say that it was not an easy experience. It was also like a very hard because of producing an indie film. You don't have that much of like money to start with. It's not like a Hollywood, film that a lot of like people, or like sometimes the government give you like some budget for that. So for me, I have to organize team and ask like help of other people in order to make this dream of mine to to fulfill. The advocacy of this film, or the advocacy that why I started this film, is to highlight the strengths and at the same time the talent of the cast, the crew and the production team, because all of the people that work here are first time like talent, producer, director. And as a producer, it's also like my first producing and leading acting like job or work. So when it won a lot of like awards, and which I'm very happy, because um, it made a lot of like attention to the community. And sometimes when it creates attention, it also creates jealousy among other people. And I remember that I cannot imagine that I experienced something like something that I didn't expect to experience. And that was like bullying. And I thought that time that bullying is only experienced with kids. And I was so shocked, because that, in that stage of my life, I can say that I was bullied. Um, and it came to a point that I got depressed, and I thought that I'm gonna like lose everything. But because of my prayers, meditation, and the people that I uh, have friends that time, they helped me to be, to be strong, and to continue like fighting and stand for my right. So after that, I still continue of doing my, the job that I was doing. I um i started to have another job that is like very fulfilling. And at the same time, I didn't also stop continuing of doing other films. I did like some two feature film after that, and I still continue of doing some other commercials and acting jobs in the mainstream, which also like one of like my passion. So with the experience that I'm having, or that I had and experienced, I can say that you just have to continue believing in yourself. And I can also like say that, like, I have something that I would like to share here that is very dear to me. Like live your dream, do what you love, cherish every moment, be brave, take risk, create your own happiness, have an open mind and heart, make a big difference, never give up, dream big, be fearless, make every moment count, and today is the day. That's
Wow.
all.
Thank you so much, Emily. I'm so moved and so motivated and inspired by your story. I know it's never easy being an actor because, or actress, um, and because it's not a stable career. You never know when it's the next acting pay that you will be getting. And it takes lots of strength, especially for women, for women who are like depending on this acting career. And you have been positive influences just to everyone. I know you meet so many people every day with your acting career, and you have been so positive wherever you go. Thank you so much, Emily, for your story.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Melanie. Um, I knew Melanie, wow, that's like 20 years ago. She has been my first model in my faith as a Christian. And her husband and her led the Toronto church 20 years ago when I joined the Toronto Church of Christ. And now, well, life changes, and she went to Chicago to have like a successful career as a director of marketing, and I believe it's a communication as well. And when Ottawa Church just called her to fulfill a leadership role, and her husband and her just like took the lead, and led so many people into the Christian faith without a doubt. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you, Angela. I have to say, I feel so humbled to share the virtual stage with so many amazing women, and to hear your stories and to see the strength and the courage and the grace that you have journeyed through your life. I'm so inspired, and hopefully can get to know you guys a little bit better and learn more from you and your journey. You know, with the limited amount of time, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I am 53 years old. I've been married for 29 years. I have 3 grown children who are all married. And I have a wonderful grandson who is truly the delight of my heart. You know, I currently, as Angela was saying, serve as a women's ministry leader here in the Church of in Ottawa. And most of my career has actually been in full-time ministry. And I had about 7 years where I was director of marketing and communications for a nonprofit. I was a corporate recruiter for a company in Texas. And but most of my career has been in the area of women's ministry. And I have a very deep and a deep passion for women and women's ministry. You know, I was born in South Africa. Our family, my parents and my 2 brothers immigrated in 1978 and really grew up in Mississauga. You know, most of my high school years were spent there. You know, of all, there's, with a journey, as each of you have listened, there's so many corners and highs and lows and, you know, peaks and valleys. And there really are so many things I could share, because there's many things that have shaped not only my worldview, but my faith view. And I would say my faith view was ultimately really turned in 1989 when I truly understood what it meant for me to follow Christ. I made a really huge shift in my life at that point. But one of the things that I wanted to share mainly about my journey is for most of my life, I was a deeply insecure person. I think I lived with a mask of self-sufficiency, and I kept everyone at arm's length. But in keeping everyone at arm's length, I kept myself imprisoned by my insecurities. I think I learned through my various masks to speak the voice of whoever I was with, whether it was a boyfriend or when I was young, whether it was my mom, or their voice became my voice. I did not have an individual personal voice. I just sort of emulated other people. And even when I married my husband, he's an amazing, amazing man, brilliant, faithful, passionate, but I very quickly fell into the role of adopting his voice. And I lived this way for many years. And you know, there's a book I love, and I want to read it, a little excerpt from it, because I think it will paint the picture of the life that I lived. John Aldridge in The Sacred Romance says, starting very early, life has taught all of us to ignore and distrust the deepest yearnings of our heart. Life, for the most part, teaches us to suppress our longing and to live out only in the external world where efficiency and performance are everything. We have learned from parents and peers at school, at work, and even from our spiritual mentors that something else is wanted from us other than our heart. which is to say that which is most deeply us. Very seldom we are ever invited to live out of our heart. If we are wanted, we are often wanted for what we can offer functionally. If rich, we are honored for our wealth. If beautiful, for our looks. If intelligent, for our brains. So we learn to offer only those parts of us that are approved, living out a carefully crafted performance to gain acceptance from those who represent life to us. We divorce ourselves from our heart and begin to live a double life. Frederick Buechner expresses this phenomenon in his biological graphical work, Telling Secrets. Our original shimmering self gets buried so deep, we hardly live out of it at all. Rather, we learn to live out of all the other selves, which we are constantly putting on and taking off, like coats and hats against the world's weather. That was me. I was just taking off the hats, putting them on for whatever the situation warranted and for whatever was needed of me. Well, I'm a reader and I'll be quoting different people as I share this. One of the things that I needed was to find my own voice. I needed to find the courage to speak from that voice. And as Mark Twain said, adversity is the thing that introduces a person to themselves. And I, through a very difficult time in my life, was introduced to my deepest insecurities. So as I said, for many years, I was in the full-time ministry from a very young age, actually from the age of 23, I was in the full-time ministry. And then in 2015, my life, we went through a very difficult time, and I went through an imposed sabbatical. It was not self-imposed, it was an imposed sabbatical. My life at that point was thrown into turmoil. I had done what I was doing for so many years. It's what I knew, it's what I lived, it's what I breathed. It was the purpose of my life. And all of a sudden I found myself without a job, without a support system, and without a purpose. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And so I had to figure out how to retool myself. And so I went into this mode of trying to figure out what I was going to do. But inside of me constantly, there was a voice that said, yes, you need to do that, but you need to deal with you. You need to deal with what's going on inside of you. For the first time in my life, things were coming to the surface, things that I had gone through as a child, abuse that I'd experienced as a child. Growing up in South Africa, which, it was apartheid when I lived there. So growing up in a home with parents that suffered under apartheid, all of those self-identity things sort of came to a head. And another book that I read by a monk called John of the Cross, he calls these times in our lives the dark night of the soul. And I truly felt like it was the dark night of my soul. But it also ended up being the most amazing experience, because when you're in that dark place, you have one of two choices. You can quit, you can just decide, I don't care anymore, or you can fight and you can figure things out. And because of my amazing husband and some really good friends and my relationship with God, I decided to fight first for my relationship with God and my faith, and really purifying what that meant to me through the scriptures and through listening to other spiritual mentors. I learned to understand where my insecurity came from by not only recognizing the things that I had gone through, but sort of retracing that past and that history, learning where my negative thinking about myself came from. What drove those negative tapes. I learned how to transform my thinking and to direct my thinking back to God and back to faith. I learned to practice grace and forgiveness, not only with other people, but with myself. I learned to discover and implement some healthy tools for my future. And one of the things that I wanted to share about some of those healthy tools is, I think as women, so many of us do struggle with insecurity, right? It's in my work, I'm astounded at how many of us who are talented and beautiful and amazing have struggles of self-doubt and insecurity. And you know, our histories and our past shape a lot of that. And our current situation, I think, shapes a lot of that. But I think through the work that I've been doing with different women through my own personal journey, I have learned a couple of things that I think hopefully might be helpful. I learned this idea of retracing, and it's going back and identifying, like I said, those things in your past that shape your negative thinking, and replacing, you know, because it's good to know where you come from, but it's so important to replace that negative thinking with positive, and not just positive, but faithful change in your life. And this idea of affirming truth, affirming what you know to be right, affirming what you know to be good. And for me, affirming my faith in God was really important to me. I wanted to just close with this, you know, through that journey, I learned that what other people think of me, it's never not going to be important. I think it's an unrealistic goal to say, you shouldn't care what other people think, at least for me. But I learned that the power of what other people think of me should not drive me. The power of what God thinks of me and what I think about myself through God is what should drive me. I learned to live in a victor model as opposed to a victim model. And I never would have called myself a victim, ever. I never would have said that. But I think I gave so much power to those outside of me and didn't realize that God had given me so much power inside of me. And I learned to live with that victor model. And there's a power in that, because the power is you have the ability to change. No one else can dictate that change for you. I am so grateful for where I am today. I think had God not taken me on the journey, disrupted my world, you know, sort of took away my equilibrium, I wouldn't have fought to find my voice. I wouldn't have fought to help other women find their voice. And I wouldn't even be able to be here today. I think I would have been relegated probably to just living an existence the way that John Aldrich talked about, you know, just saying, you know, whatever, my time is past and I'll, you know, kind of live out the rest of my days in my own world. And yet God, I think, was saying, no, I'm not done with you. I have things to teach you. So thank you for letting me share. Thank you so much for everyone else who shared. I've taken so many great things from you to add to my toolbox of helpful things.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And I'm just super grateful. Like, Melanie was one of the leading organizer for this morning's women's event in Ottawa Church, and it had like over 300 participants. And I'm sure she's like tired as well, but she took the precious time out of her busy schedule to serve here as an agent for change. I'm just super grateful. Thank you so much, Melanie, for your story. Like, everyone goes through their dark times, dark nights of the soul, and you overcame that dark night, and you came out from the other side of the tunnel, and you let your light shine like how you're shining right now. I just see that inner glow, inner glow, and that radiance in you. Thank you so much, Melanie. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who's Diana. And Diana is a reliament coach, and she's one of the first partner practitioners that we were able to partner with. And I'm super grateful that Diana can make this time. And actually, she's in her hectic schedule moving to BC from Toronto. And I'm just super grateful that she can take this time to serve today. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you so much. And my purpose today is to end this hour by taking you through an empowering meditation. And I want to say before I do that I'm very grateful to be here, that I resonated with all the speakers. Melanie, especially you, like Dark Night of the Souls, like I've been there a dozen times in my life. And each time it's brought me more and more light. So my work is really about going into the darkness to be able to cast the light on it and see the possibilities and the potential and the hope that's waiting to be experienced in life. And we've all been in the dark nights of the soul. We've all had challenges, and it's not what the challenges don't define you. I have a power quote in a book that I wrote that says, our experiences do not define us. Our experiences refine us and have the potential to catapult us to our deepest purpose. And that's what I heard with each of the speakers today. And that's certainly how I've really made a choice to live my life. So I'd love to invite you, I'm going to put on some music, and I'd love to invite you all to close your eyes. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to come together through breath, through intention, as women, this group representing the women in the world today. Take a few moments and let your breath draw you into your body. We spend so much time in our minds, and so much of what's up there isn't even real, but your body has wisdom. Your body knows what's real, and your body also holds a lot of imprints, generational trauma. So right now, with each exhale, just decide what you want to release. What tension do you want to release? What stories do you want to release? What narratives? And know that this is a daily practice for me. It's not we do it once and it's done. We do it over and over. And when we come together in community, we have an opportunity to really amplify the healing that takes place. So I do women's group coaching because that amplifies the healing. And over the next few breaths, just see where your breath can anchor you in your body. Maybe it's your feet. Maybe it's your tailbone. Notice where your breath expands your body. And can you recognize in this moment, beyond the conditioning, the trauma, the drama, the rules, what society has told you, that there is a truth in the essence of who you are that's always been there? Your radiance, your light, your love is who you are. Pure beauty. You are the God representation. My journey has been about finding the courage to find my voice and step in front of international audiences to share what I know to be truth, to empower others. You all have that courage within you. And your audience might be your family. It might be yourself. Can you recognize the miracle that you are? Can you recognize that right here and now, as we stand together on the cusp of this day to celebrate women internationally, that we have an opportunity to say yes. Say yes to your breath. Say yes to your life. Say yes to your courage. Say yes to your faith, to your health. Say yes to your voice. Say yes to what it is that you desire. to see in the world. Our desires are not a problem. It's that we don't desire enough to be the change makers. And today, let's say yes to being the change makers, to teaching our girls what it means to be a courageous, grace-filled woman. Take a deep breath and allow your awareness now to land anywhere in your body where you can experience gratitude. Gratitude for being a woman. Gratitude for being here today on this call. Gratitude for the women that, although they may not have always said yes to you because they didn't have the capacity, that there was something that landed in you that imprinted you with love and beauty. And I'd love for you to place one hand on your heart center, which is in the center of your sternum, center of your chest. And for the next few breaths, feel your heart expand into your hand. This is your life force. This is your gift. And maybe allow your body to expand even more with each breath, bringing a relaxation into your nervous system. It's when we find our states of relaxation that we can fully say yes with clarity and ease. And just for a moment or two, if there's any longings that your body has right now to move, I'm going to put the music just a little bit louder. Just let your body move slowly if it feels appropriate to the music. Maybe you sway your head, your shoulders. And you get to notice where you've been holding tension. And now take a deep breath in and exhale with a sigh. And that exhalation tones your vagus nerve, which creates more deep, calming parasympathetic response. So let's do that again. Deep breath in. Exhale. And just for another few moments, can you allow yourself to move in a way that celebrates your being a woman today? Celebrates your children who are women or girls, your mothers, your grandmothers. And we say thank you for women all over the world who are stepping up right now and being the voice for us. And the last thing I'd love for you to consider is whatever state you're noticing right now, if you're feeling calm, relaxed, grateful, what do you need in your life right now to sustain that? So often women are so busy caregiving for others that we don't stop to ask ourselves, what do we need? And I would love for you to take a moment and ask yourself, maybe ask your heart, ask your body, ask your nervous system, which is the communication network of the body and the mind, what do you need? And then listen to the whispers. Without judgment, just saying, oh yeah, that's it. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Exhale, sigh. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And I'd love for you to write in the chat, what do you need? It's so great to share and to commit to our needs. What do you need? Maybe right now, maybe in general in your life. What do you need for self-care? What do you need to remember to say yes to yourself? because you can only serve from a cup, not that's half full, but that's overflowing. Love and respect, yeah. And as people write things, you could say, me too. You could say it to yourself, me too. There's so much value in that. We're so much more connected. We share what we need. Because as women, we're imprinted with doing so much for others. What do you need for you? I need more time like this. Yeah, me too, Melanie. I spent 3 hours earlier today in a circle group filling my cup. Because I give a lot. Great. Yeah. Hope. Yeah, hope is inside you, Benetta. Hope is inside you. What we need is time to get together to remember it's there. Peace and love, peace and hope. Yeah. And know that all those things are inside you. And when we come together as a community, we get to remember. Thank you so much, Angela, for giving me this opportunity. It always fills my cup to be able to serve from this place. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, thank you so much, Diana. This is such a beautiful meditation, and Diana has performed so many healing sessions in the past 2 months for our organization. And Healing Connection actually will have more healing sessions like this once a week, and it'll be on Friday night. And we will roll out different outreach programs to help with stress management and effective communication and your mental and emotional well-being. So we're building our future brighter together. And like Dinah said, trying say yes to be the change maker. And every one of us can stand up and be the change maker your life was called to be. And thank you, everyone. It's such an honor to spend time like this together. And tomorrow will be an amazing International Women's Day. And for sure, you'll find a different inspiration over the internet somewhere else. And thank you so much. It's such an honor to do what I'm doing, and such an honor to have all the guest speakers. You guys are just so amazing. Thank you so much. So we'll have, if anyone want to see the recording of this event, we'll have it posted on our YouTube channel. And then you can find the YouTube channels through our website. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Angela.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, everyone.